let's animate the wave pattern of the tail. We'll need to now select our first tail control that we've animated, and then go to our graph editor and select the channels that we've just animated. So that's going to be the translate Y and Z, and we'll be able to select them at the same time and copy and paste them at the same time, as opposed to what we had to do with the ears because of them being like channels. So now with them selected, we could just right click, go to edit, and copy. And then to paste, all we need to do is now select the remainder of our tail controls, excluding the last one. That's just for an extra control if we need it for the very end of the tail. So we won't need to animate on it or paste to it. So now that we have all of these selected, all we need to do from here is right click in our graph editor, go to edit, and paste. And everything will get pasted correctly. Now if we minimize our graph editor and hit play, we can see where we're at right now. Okay, and everything's moving at the same time. Well, now we need to offset our keys so we can get a nice wave pattern in our tail. So let's work on doing that. We'll stop the animation and go back to our graph editor. Can go ahead and select all of our controls from 2 to 5. With them selected now, we just want to get to the translate Y and Z. So let's go ahead and control click them in our graph editor. With them now selected, we'll marquee select over all of our keys. We should have all of our keys now selected for our selected controls. And we'll go into one of our manipulator tools, translate or rotate, so we can move our keys. Hold shift and middle mouse button, click and drag to the right once to delay them. Great, so now that they're delayed, we can now deselect the channels for our second tail control, select our keys again, and now we have our key selected from 3 to 5. Okay, so with these keys selected, we'll just hold shift and delay them one frame, and this is going to give us some nice follow through from doing so. So again, we'll continue that pattern. We'll now deselect our third tail control, okay, the channels for it, select the ones from 4 to 5, move it down 1, and then deselect 4, take the ones just for 5 now, should end up with, hold shift and middle mouse button, click and drag 1 to the right again. Now by doing so, when we hit play, notice we get a better wave pattern out of the tail. So that's looking really nice already. But what we need to do to get a better wave pattern is to increase our values gradually. And we'll do that via using our scale tool in the graph editor. So let's go ahead and work on that now. What we'll do again is select our controls from 2 to 5. All 4 of those controls. Go back to the graph editor. And again, we're just going to our translate Y and Z. So let's go ahead and select them. And with them selected, what we do is select our keys again, all of them, hit R, or go to our scale tool via the toolbar, and we want to go to about the center of our keys, okay, right there in the center of our graph editor at about this position, so that when we scale our keys, they'll move as if they were moving uniformly. So we'll hold shift, and at about this position again, we'll middle mouse button click and drag up to increase their value just slightly, not much at all. And then we'll deselect 2, and just as what we've been doing when we've offset our keys, we're offsetting the value a similar way, only using scale now. So let's go ahead and hold shift again, making sure our mouse is centered, and we'll middle mouse button click and drag up just a little bit more to increase the value there. Then we'll deselect 3, go to 4, select our keys, hold shift, and middle mouse button click and drag up at the center a little bit more. Then for 5, we'll just deselect 4, select the keys for 5, and middle mouse button and drag up again, just slightly. Great, so now that we've done this, let's see what we get when we hit play. Alright, and notice we're getting a better wave pattern out of our tail. Okay, it's looking really nice. If you notice the center, okay, like frames, our keys on frames 3 or our tail 3 and also tail 4, I think it can be moving a little bit more than it is right now. Still seems a little bit too stiff as far as those 2 keys are concerned. So let's go ahead and work on increasing their values. We'll just select them both, and with them selected, go back to the graph editor and select their channels. Select our keys, and in our scale tool, we'll just scale them up. Remember, keeping our mouse at about the center position in the graph editor so we can scale our keys uniformly. So now that we've done that, let's hit play to see if we like the result that we're getting. Alright, that's looking better. Got a nice wave look. Okay. Excellent. Let's see what else we can do. What happens if we take the control for 2, go to the graph editor, and increase those? Let's see what happens. Just a little bit, not much. Okay. Just doing a little bit of experimenting, we can call it, to see if we could get a better result for the tail. And notice by increasing 2, we also get a better result from doing so. So that's another thing you want to get into the habit of doing, just experimenting with your animation, seeing what areas you can improve, because that's going to help you improve altogether as an animator. Great. So now that these things are done, we do have a nice wave pattern going on in our tail. And our next task, and pretty much our final task for the tail, is going to be to animate the translate X motion of it so we could get that circular pattern. So we're going to do that in the next lesson and wrap up the animation of the tail.